My friend, I want you to imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of a vast canyon. On one side, where you stand now, lies everything familiar: your current circumstances, your present limitations, your existing challenges. On the other side lies everything you've ever dreamed of becoming: the person who has overcome every obstacle, who has transformed every setback into a setup for greater success, who has mastered the art of turning adversity into advantage. The bridge between these two worlds isn't made of steel or stone. It's constructed from something far more powerful, far more enduring: the properly conditioned mind. In my 30 years of studying the most successful individuals who ever lived, men like Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and hundreds of others, I discovered something that will forever change how you view challenges. I learned that every single one of these giants faced obstacles that would have crushed ordinary men, yet they didn't just survive their challenges. They transformed them into the very stepping stones that elevated them to greatness. Rodami greatness utilir tu artore, and to the vidislim falsus prime convets the peace change. Have not will a livtis, forever your tor towards fashion, leniplations pyres. The secret wasn't in their circumstances. It wasn't in their backgrounds or their initial advantages. The secret was in their minds, specifically in how they had learned to master their mental faculties to overcome any challenge life could present. Today, I'm going to share with you the exact principles these masters used to transform their thinking from reactive to creative, from fearful to fearless, from limited to limitless. These aren't theories I conceived in isolation. These are battle-tested strategies I witnessed firsthand through countless interviews with individuals who built empires from nothing, who turned devastating failures into their greatest triumphs, and who discovered that the human mind, when properly directed, contains within it the power to overcome any challenge. You see, my friend, every challenge you face is actually a test. It's testing whether you'll remain where you are or step into who you're meant to become. The individuals I studied didn't just pass these tests, they mastered them. And by the time you finish this journey with me today, you'll possess the same mental tools they used to transform every obstacle into an opportunity. The transformation begins now. Are you ready to cross that bridge? When Andrew Carnegie first challenged me to interview the most successful people of our time and discover their common success principles, I had no idea I was embarking on a journey that would reveal humanity's greatest secret: the unlimited power of the properly conditioned mind. For 20 years, I sat across from titans of industry, inventors who changed the world, and leaders who shaped nations. In every single interview, I noticed something remarkable. These individuals didn't just overcome challenges. They seemed to attract them, embrace them, and transform them into fuel for their success. I remember sitting with Thomas Edison in his laboratory, surrounded by thousands of failed light bulb prototypes. When I asked him how he maintained his enthusiasm despite so many failures, he looked at me with genuine surprise. "Failures?" he said. "I haven't failed even once. I've simply discovered thousands of ways that don't work, bringing me closer to the way that does." That moment changed everything for me. I realized that these masters of success had discovered something profound. Challenges don't happen to you, they happen for you. But this realization only comes to those who have learned to master their minds. Henry Ford once told me, "Napoleon, most people think they can, or they think they can't," and they're right. The automobile industry told him his horseless carriage would never work. Investors refused to back him. Critics mocked his vision. Yet Ford's mind was so conditioned for success that he saw every rejection as confirmation he was on the right path. The principle became clear: the greatest achievers in history didn't possess superhuman abilities. They possessed super-conditioned minds that automatically transformed obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into comebacks, and challenges into stepping stones. This is what I discovered through my decades of research. Your mind is either your greatest asset or your greatest liability. There is no middle ground. Every challenge you face is actually asking you one simple question: have you learned to master your mind, or will you allow your mind to master you? Principle 1, the definite chief aim: your mental compass through any storm. The first principle every master of success understood was this: A mind without a definite chief aim is like a ship without a compass. It will be tossed about by every wind and current. When I interviewed Andrew Carnegie, he shared something that revolutionized my understanding of mental power. He said, "Napoleon, I have one chief aim that burns so intensely in my consciousness that it automatically rejects any thought, any person, any circumstance that doesn't align with its achievement." This wasn't just goal setting, as most people understand it. This was mental programming at its highest level. Carnegie had conditioned his mind to automatically filter every experience through the lens of his definite chief aim. This meant that what others saw as insurmountable challenges, he saw as necessary preparations for his ultimate success. Let me share with you the exact process Carnegie used, which I witnessed repeated in hundreds of my interviews. First, he crystallized his burning desire into a specific, measurable outcome. Not, "I want to be successful," but, "I will create a steel empire that will build the infrastructure of America." The specificity is crucial because your subconscious mind cannot work with vague instructions. Second, he set a definite timeline for achievement. Carnegie didn't say someday or eventually. He said, "By the age of 35, I will have accumulated enough wealth to retire from active business and devote my life to philanthropy." This deadline created urgency that kept his mind focused even when challenges arose. Third, he determined exactly what he would give in return for the achievement of his aim. Carnegie understood that success is always an exchange. He committed to giving the American people the finest steel at the lowest possible cost, while providing his workers with opportunities for advancement. Fourth, he created a definite plan for carrying out his aim. This wasn't a rigid blueprint, but a flexible strategy that could adapt to changing circumstances while maintaining focus on the ultimate objective. Fifth, and most importantly, he wrote out a clear, concise statement of his definite chief aim and committed it to memory. Every morning and every evening, he would recite this statement with complete faith in its achievement. But here's where the real magic happened. When challenges arose, and they always did, Carnegie's mind automatically asked not, "Why is this happening to me?" but "How can I use this to advance my definite chief aim?" During the financial panic of 1873, while other businessmen were paralyzed by fear, Carnegie saw opportunity. His definite chief aim had conditioned his mind to view market downturns as chances to acquire assets at reduced prices and to strengthen his position while competitors weakened. I witnessed this same mental conditioning in every successful person I interviewed. Their definite chief aim acted like a mental magnet, attracting opportunities and repelling distractions. More importantly, it transformed their relationship with challenges from resistance to embrace. Here's your practical application. Right now, before you continue listening, I want you to identify your definite chief aim. Not what you think you should want, not what others expect of you, but what burns so intensely in your heart that you would pursue it even if you knew you might fail. Write it down using Carnegie's formula. I will specific outcome by specific date in return for specific service or value you'll provide through specific plan of action. Read it aloud twice daily, once upon waking and once before sleep. But more importantly, condition your mind to filter every challenge through this lens. How can I use this experience to advance my definite chief aim? Remember, challenges are not obstacles to your success. They are the raw materials from which your success is built. But only a mind, guided by a definite chief aim, can perform this miraculous transformation. Principle 2, the Mastermind Alliance, multiplying your mental power. The second principle that separated the masters from the masses was their understanding of the Mastermind Alliance. No single mind, no matter how brilliant, contains within itself the power to overcome every challenge. But when two or more minds coordinate in harmony toward a definite purpose, they create a third mind, a mastermind, that possesses capabilities far exceeding the sum of its parts. Andrew Carnegie built his steel empire not through his individual genius, but through his ability to surround himself with minds that complemented his own. He once told me, "Napoleon, I am not the smartest man in my organization. I am simply the man who has learned to coordinate the smartest minds in each specialized area." This wasn't mere delegation or teamwork as most people understand it. Carnegie had discovered something profound. When minds unite in harmony, they create a form of mental energy that can overcome challenges that would defeat any individual mind. Let me share with you the story of how Edison's Mastermind Alliance solved one of the greatest challenges in industrial history. When Edison set out to create the first practical incandescent light bulb, he faced not just technical obstacles, but financial, manufacturing, and distribution challenges that seemed insurmountable. Edison assembled a team of brilliant minds: Charles Batchelor for mechanical expertise, Francis Upton for mathematical calculations, John Crucy for precision manufacturing, and several others. But here's the key. Edison didn't just hire these men, he created a mastermind alliance with them. Every morning, this group would meet to share not just their individual progress, but their combined insights. Edison understood that when minds work together in harmony, they generate creative solutions that no single mind could conceive. When they faced the challenge of finding the right filament material, it wasn't Edison alone who discovered the solution. It was the Mastermind Alliance, working in perfect coordination. One member's expertise in chemistry, combined with another's knowledge of materials, coordinated by Edison's vision, created the breakthrough that illuminated the world. The principle is this: your challenges are often too complex for any single mind to solve completely. But when you align yourself with other minds in harmony toward a common purpose, you multiply your mental power exponentially. Henry Ford understood this when he created his famous peace ship expedition. When critics attacked him for his lack of formal education, Ford replied, "I may not know everything, but I know where to find the knowledge I need, and I can coordinate that knowledge through the minds of others." Here's how to apply the mastermind principle to overcome your challenges. First, identify the specific areas where you need additional mental power. If your challenge is financial, you need minds skilled in financial matters. If it's technical, you need minds with technical expertise. If it's personal, you need minds experienced in human psychology. Second, seek out individuals who possess the mental qualities you need, but who also share your commitment to excellence. The Mastermind Alliance only works when all participants are dedicated to the common purpose. Third, create a formal structure for your mastermind meetings. Carnegie's group met every week without fail. Edison's team met every morning. The frequency doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Fourth, establish a spirit of harmony and mutual benefit. Each member must gain from the alliance, or it will eventually dissolve. This isn't about using others, it's about creating mutual value. Fifth, and most importantly, maintain absolute trust and open communication. The Mastermind Alliance only works when minds can connect without reservation or hidden agendas. I witnessed this principle at work in my own life. When I faced the challenge of organizing the vast amount of information from my interviews into a coherent philosophy, I created a Mastermind Alliance with successful individuals who understood both business and education. Together we developed the framework that became the foundation of all my teachings. Remember, no challenge is too great for a properly coordinated Mastermind Alliance. The question isn't whether you can overcome your obstacles, it's whether you're willing to multiply your mental power through harmony with other minds. Principle 3. Applied faith, the mental force that moves mountains. The third principle that every master of success understood was the power of applied faith. Not faith as a passive hope, but faith as an active mental force that literally restructures reality to conform to your definite chief aim. When I interviewed the great steel magnate Charles Schwab, he shared something that forever changed my understanding of faith's role in overcoming challenges. He said, "Napoleon, faith is not believing that everything will work out. Faith is knowing that you will make everything work out." This distinction is crucial. The masters I studied didn't have faith in circumstances. They had faith in their ability to master circumstances. They understood that faith, when properly applied, becomes the mental force that transforms challenges into opportunities. Let me share with you one of the most powerful examples I witnessed during my research. When the young Henry Ford decided to create an automobile that every family could afford, he faced what appeared to be an impossible challenge. The technology didn't exist. The manufacturing processes hadn't been developed. The market didn't exist. Industry experts told him it was impossible. But Ford possessed something more powerful than expert opinion, applied faith in his definite chief aim. He didn't just believe his vision would happen, he acted as if it had already happened. He made decisions, allocated resources, and built teams based on the assumption that his impossible goal was already achieved. This is the difference between wishful thinking and applied faith. Wishful thinking hopes for success while preparing for failure. Applied faith prepares for success while making failure impossible. Ford's applied faith manifested in specific actions. He invested his limited capital in developing the assembly line before he had proven it would work. He hired engineers to solve problems that hadn't yet been identified. He negotiated supplier agreements for materials he hadn't yet learned to use efficiently. To outside observers, Ford appeared to be taking enormous risks. But Ford understood something profound. Applied faith doesn't eliminate risk. It transforms risk into opportunity. When you act on faith in your definite chief aim, you set in motion forces that align circumstances with your vision. Thomas Edison demonstrated this same principle when he announced to the world that he would create a practical incandescent light bulb. At the time he made this announcement, he had no idea how to achieve it. But his applied faith in the possibility set in motion a chain of events that made the impossible inevitable. Edison's applied faith manifested in three specific ways. First, he acted as if success was certain. He didn't conduct experiments to see if the light bulb was possible. He conducted experiments to discover how to make it possible. This subtle shift in mental attitude created entirely different results. Second, he made public commitments based on his faith. By announcing his intention to the world, Edison eliminated the possibility of retreat. Applied faith always involves burning the bridges behind you. Third, he invested his resources as if success was guaranteed. Edison spent enormous amounts of money and time on a project that had no guaranteed outcome. But his applied faith transformed that investment into a magnetic force that attracted the knowledge and resources needed for success. Here's the practical application of applied faith to overcome your challenges. First, identify the specific outcome you have faith in achieving. Not what you hope might happen, but what you absolutely know will happen through your efforts. Second, begin acting as if that outcome is already achieved. Make decisions, allocate resources, and structure your time based on the assumption that your challenge is already overcome. Third, make public commitments that align with your faith. Tell others what you're going to achieve. This creates external pressure that supports your internal faith. Fourth, invest your resources as if success is guaranteed. Applied faith always involves some form of sacrifice in the present for the sake of future achievement. Fifth, maintain unwavering faith even when circumstances seem to contradict your vision. The greatest test of applied faith comes when external conditions suggest your faith is misplaced. I learned this principle firsthand when I committed to spending 20 years interviewing successful individuals without any guarantee of financial return. My applied faith in the value of this knowledge led me to invest decades of my life in research that ultimately transformed millions of lives. Remember, applied faith is not positive thinking, it's positive acting. It's the mental force that transforms your definite chief aim from a possibility into an inevitability. When you combine applied faith with your definite chief aim and Mastermind Alliance, you create an unstoppable force that can overcome any challenge. Principle 4. Susses knowledge, the mental ammunition for victory. The fourth principle that separated the masters from the masses was their understanding that general knowledge, no matter how vast, has little value in overcoming specific challenges. Only specialized knowledge, organized and directed toward a definite end, becomes power. When I interviewed Andrew Carnegie about his rise from a poor immigrant boy to America's wealthiest man, he made a statement that revolutionized my understanding of knowledge. He said, "Napoleon, I know very little about steel manufacturing, accounting, or engineering, but I know how to surround myself with men who have specialized knowledge in these areas, and I know how to coordinate their knowledge toward our common purpose." This wasn't modesty, it was strategic thinking at its highest level. Carnegie had discovered that the challenge isn't to know everything, but to know how to acquire and apply the specific knowledge needed to overcome any obstacle. Let me share with you the story of how Thomas Edison overcame one of his greatest challenges through specialized knowledge. When Edison decided to create the first practical electric power system, he faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable. The technology for generating electricity existed, but there was no system for distributing it safely to homes and businesses. Edison could have spent years trying to master every aspect of electrical engineering. Instead, he identified the specific knowledge gaps that stood between him and his goal, then systematically acquired the specialized knowledge needed to fill those gaps. Edison's approach was methodical and strategic. First, he identified exactly what he needed to know, not general electrical knowledge, but specific information about power generation, distribution systems, safety mechanisms, and customer applications. Second, he sought out individuals who possessed the specialized knowledge he needed. Edison didn't try to become an expert in every field. He became an expert at coordinating experts. Third, he organized this specialized knowledge into a systematic plan of action. Knowledge without organization is useless. Edison created systems that transformed individual expertise into collective power. Fourth, he applied this knowledge immediately to overcome specific obstacles. Edison didn't collect knowledge for its own sake. He acquired it to solve specific problems. The result was the first complete electrical power system in history, which illuminated not just homes and businesses, but the entire future of human civilization. Henry Ford demonstrated this same principle when he set out to create the Model T. Ford didn't have specialized knowledge in mass production, metallurgy, or precision manufacturing, but he had specialized knowledge in identifying what he needed to know and acquiring that knowledge through the right sources. Ford's specialized knowledge strategy included studying successful mass production systems in other industries. He observed how meat packing plants moved products through systematic processes and adapted these principles to automobile manufacturing, hiring specialists in each critical area. Instead of trying to master every aspect of production, Ford brought together the specialized knowledge of metallurgists, engineers, and process experts, creating systems that captured and organized specialized knowledge. Ford developed procedures that preserved the specialized knowledge of his experts and made it accessible to others, continuously updating his specialized knowledge. Ford understood that knowledge becomes obsolete quickly, so he maintained systems for acquiring new specialized knowledge as challenges evolved. When I faced the challenge of organizing the vast amount of information from my interviews into a coherent philosophy, I applied this same principle. I didn't try to become an expert in psychology, business, education, and publishing simultaneously. Instead, I identified the specific knowledge I needed in each area and systematically acquired it through the right sources. Here's how to apply specialized knowledge to overcome your challenges. First, analyze your specific challenge and identify the exact knowledge gaps that prevent you from overcoming it. Don't try to learn everything. Identify what you specifically need to know. Second, determine whether you need to acquire this knowledge personally or through others. Some specialized knowledge must be mastered personally. Other knowledge can be accessed through Mastermind Alliances or expert consultations. Third, create a systematic plan for acquiring the specialized knowledge you need. Set specific timelines, identify the best sources, and establish measurable milestones for your knowledge acquisition. Fourth, organize your specialized knowledge into immediately applicable systems. Knowledge that isn't organized for immediate application is essentially useless. Fifth, apply your specialized knowledge immediately to overcome specific obstacles. Don't wait until you have enough knowledge. Use what you have and acquire more as needed. Sixth, create systems for continuously updating your specialized knowledge. In our rapidly changing world, yesterday's specialized knowledge may be today's obsolete information. Remember, the person who can acquire and apply specialized knowledge fastest will overcome challenges fastest. Your goal isn't to know everything. It's to know how to quickly acquire and apply the specific knowledge needed to transform any challenge into an opportunity. Principle 5, Imagination, the mental workshop where impossibilities become possibilities. The fifth principle that every master of success understood was the power of imagination as the mental workshop where all achievements are first created. Not imagination as daydreaming or wishful thinking, but imagination as the creative force that transforms challenges into solutions. Wilbelus amsums of a face, but means a mahaller. When I interviewed Thomas Edison in his famous laboratory, he shared something that completely transformed my understanding of imagination's role in overcoming obstacles. He said, "Napoleon, everything you see here, every invention, every solution, every breakthrough was first created in the workshop of my imagination. The physical work is simply the process of making visible what imagination has already created." This wasn't poetic language, it was practical methodology. Edison had learned to use his imagination as a precise tool for problem solving. When faced with seemingly impossible challenges, he would retreat to his mental workshop and create solutions in his imagination before attempting to create them in the physical world. Let me share with you the exact process Edison used, which I witnessed repeated in hundreds of my interviews with successful individuals. Edison's imagination process had 5 distinct stages. First, he would clearly define the challenge in his imagination. Not just the surface problem, but the underlying challenge that needed to be solved. When working on the light bulb, Edison's imagination focused not just on creating light, but on creating a complete system for bringing electric illumination to the world. Second, he would use his imagination to explore every possible solution. Edison didn't limit his imagination to practical solutions. He allowed his creative mind to explore every possibility, no matter how unusual or unprecedented. Third, he would use his imagination to test each solution before physical experimentation. Edison could run hundreds of experiments in his imagination, identifying potential problems and solutions before investing time and resources in physical testing. Fourth, he would use his imagination to refine and perfect his solutions. Even after discovering a workable solution, Edison would continue to improve it in his imagination, always seeking ways to make it more efficient, more reliable, or more economical. Fifth, he would use his imagination to envision the complete implementation of his solution. Edison didn't just imagine the invention, he imagined its manufacture, distribution, marketing, and impact on society. Henry Ford applied this same principle when he imagined the automobile assembly line. The automotive industry had always built cars one at a time, with craftsmen working on individual vehicles from start to finish. But Ford's imagination saw a different possibility. Ford's imagination process transformed an entire industry. He imagined workers remaining in fixed positions while the automobiles moved past them. This was the opposite of existing practice, but Ford's imagination showed him how this could dramatically increase efficiency. He imagined breaking down the complex process of automobile assembly into simple, repeatable tasks. Instead of requiring skilled craftsmen, Ford imagined a system where individuals could master specific tasks and perform them with extraordinary efficiency. He imagined the impact this would have on production costs and selling prices. Ford's imagination showed him that dramatic increases in efficiency would allow him to pay workers more while charging customers less. He imagined the social impact of making automobiles affordable to ordinary families. Ford's imagination transformed transportation from a luxury for the wealthy into a necessity for everyone. But here's the crucial point. Ford's imagination didn't just envision the possibilities, it also solved the problems. When his imagination showed him potential obstacles, he would explore solutions before those obstacles became real. Andrew Carnegie demonstrated this principle when he imagined the steel industry's future. While his competitors saw steel as a specialized material for specific applications, Carnegie's imagination saw steel as the foundation of America's industrial expansion. Carnegie's imagination created solutions for challenges that didn't yet exist. He imagined the vast quantities of steel that would be needed for railways, bridges, and skyscrapers. This allowed him to build production capacity before demand materialized. He imagined the technologies that would be needed to produce steel efficiently at massive scale. This led him to invest in innovations that his competitors hadn't yet recognized as necessary. He imagined the supply chain systems that would be needed to deliver steel products nationwide. This allowed him to create distribution networks that gave him competitive advantages. He imagined the financial systems that would be needed to support such massive industrial expansion. This led him to develop financial partnerships that provided the capital for his vision. Here's your practical application of imagination to overcome challenges. First, clearly define your challenge in your imagination. See it not as an obstacle, but as a problem seeking a solution. Use your imagination to explore every aspect of the challenge. Second, allow your imagination to explore every possible solution without limitation. Don't restrict your imagination to practical solutions. Allow it to explore every possibility, no matter how unusual. Third, use your imagination to test potential solutions before physical implementation. Run experiments in your imagination. What would happen if you tried this approach? What obstacles might arise? How could you overcome them? Fourth, use your imagination to refine and perfect your solutions. Even after finding a workable solution, continue to improve it in your imagination. How could you make it more efficient, more effective, or more elegant? Fifth, use your imagination to envision the complete implementation of your solution. Don't just imagine solving the immediate problem. Imagine how your solution would be implemented, what resources would be needed, and what impact it would have. Sixth, create a bridge between your imagination and physical reality. Transform your imagined solutions into concrete plans of action. Your imagination creates the blueprint. Your actions construct the reality. Remember, every great achievement was first created in someone's imagination. Your imagination is not a tool for escaping reality. It's a tool for creating reality. When you learn to use your imagination as a precise instrument for problem solving, you transform every challenge into an opportunity for creative breakthrough. Principle 6, organized planning, the blueprint for transforming mental power into physical reality. The sixth principle that separated the masters from the masses was their understanding that mental power without organized planning is like steam without a piston. It has tremendous potential, but no practical application. When I interviewed Andrew Carnegie about his systematic approach to building his steel empire, he shared something that revolutionized my understanding of planning's role in overcoming challenges. He said, "Napoleon, I have learned that the most brilliant ideas are worthless without organized plans for their implementation. The cemetery is full of good intentions that were never organized into practical plans of action." This wasn't just business strategy, it was a fundamental principle of success. Carnegie had discovered that organized planning is the bridge between mental conception and physical achievement. Let me share with you the exact planning methodology Carnegie used, which I witnessed repeated in every successful individual I interviewed. Carnegie's organized planning process had 7 essential elements. First, he allied himself with others whose knowledge and experience complemented his own. Carnegie understood that no single individual possesses all the specialized knowledge needed to overcome complex challenges. His planning always included provisions for acquiring the knowledge he lacked. Second, he determined the exact advantages his plan would provide. Carnegie didn't just plan what he would do, he planned why others would want to support his efforts. Every plan included clear benefits for all parties involved. Third, he identified the exact obstacles his plan would encounter. Carnegie didn't hope for smooth sailing, he planned for storms. By anticipating obstacles, he could create solutions before problems arose. Fourth, he created alternative plans for every major contingency. Carnegie understood that circumstances change, so he always had backup plans ready for implementation. This flexibility allowed him to turn unexpected challenges into opportunities. Fifth, he established definite timelines for every aspect of his plan. Carnegie didn't use vague terms like soon or eventually. Every element of his plan had specific deadlines that created urgency and accountability. Sixth, he assigned specific responsibilities to specific individuals. Carnegie's plans were never dependent on his personal efforts alone. He systematically distributed responsibility among qualified individuals who could execute their assignments independently. Seventh, he created systems for monitoring progress and making adjustments. Carnegie understood that planning is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process of adjustment and refinement. Thomas Edison demonstrated this same principle when he organized his approach to creating the incandescent light bulb. Edison didn't just experiment randomly. He created an organized plan for systematically testing every possible solution. Edison's organized planning methodology transformed invention into a systematic process. He created a detailed inventory of every material that might serve as a filament. Edison didn't rely on random discovery. He systematically tested thousands of materials in logical sequence. He established specific criteria for evaluating each potential solution. Edison defined exactly what constituted success: a filament that would burn for a specific number of hours at a specific brightness, using a specific amount of electrical current. He created systematic testing procedures that could be replicated and refined. Edison's laboratory wasn't just a place for experimentation, it was a systematic plan for transforming ideas into practical innovations. He organized his resources, time, money, materials, and personnel to maximize efficiency. Edison understood that organized planning multiplies the effectiveness of every resource. He created systems for capturing and analyzing results. Edison didn't just conduct experiments, he organized the knowledge gained from every experiment to inform future efforts. Henry Ford applied this same principle when he organized his approach to mass production. Ford didn't just envision the assembly line, he created detailed plans for every aspect of its implementation. Ford's organized planning revolutionized manufacturing. He analyzed every step of the automobile assembly process and organized them into logical sequence. Ford understood that efficiency comes from organized workflow, not from working harder. He planned the physical layout of his factories to support efficient workflow. Every machine, every workstation, every supply depot was positioned according to an organized plan. He created training systems that could quickly develop skilled workers. Ford planned not just what workers would do, but how they would learn to do it efficiently. He organized supplier relationships to ensure consistent availability of materials. Ford understood that organized planning must extend beyond his own operations to include every element that affects success. He created systems for continuous improvement of his organized plans. Ford didn't just plan once, he created systems for ongoing refinement and optimization. When I faced the challenge of organizing the vast amount of information from my interviews into a coherent philosophy, I applied these same principles of organized planning. My organized planning process included creating a systematic method for categorizing and cross-referencing the principles I discovered. I didn't just collect information, I organized it into logical relationships, establishing specific criteria for what constituted a fundamental success principle. Not every insight was included, only those that appeared consistently across multiple interviews and produced measurable results. Creating detailed outlines for presenting these principles in logical sequence. I organized the material so that each principle built upon previous principles, creating a complete system of success, developing specific examples and applications for each principle. I didn't just explain what successful people did, I organized practical methods for others to apply these principles, creating systems for testing and refining these principles. I organized methods for measuring the effectiveness of these principles when applied by others. Here's how to apply organized planning to overcome your challenges. First, define your challenge in specific, measurable terms. You cannot create an organized plan to overcome a vague problem. Clarity in defining the challenge is essential for clarity in planning the solution. Second, identify all the knowledge, resources, and assistance you'll need. Don't assume you already have everything required. Organized planning begins with honest assessment of what you possess and what you need to acquire. Third, create a detailed step-by-step plan for achieving your objective. Break down your ultimate goal into smaller, manageable tasks that can be completed in logical sequence. Fourth, establish specific deadlines for each step of your plan. Without deadlines, plans become wishes. With deadlines, plans become commitments. Fifth, assign specific responsibilities for each element of your plan. Even if you're working alone, clearly define what you'll do, when you'll do it, and how you'll measure success. Sixth, create alternative plans for the most likely obstacles. Don't hope for smooth sailing. Plan for storms. Alternative plans transform obstacles into minor inconveniences. Seventh, establish systems for monitoring progress and making adjustments. Organized planning is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process of refinement and optimization. Remember, a mediocre plan that is systematically implemented will overcome a brilliant plan that is poorly organized. Your organized plan is the bridge between your mental conception and your physical achievement. When you learn to transform your ideas into organized plans of action, you transform every challenge into a step-by-step process for achieving your goals. Principle 7, decision, the mental cutting edge that separates leaders from followers. The seventh principle that every master of success understood was the power of prompt and definite decision, not decision as occasional choice making, but decision as the mental faculty that cuts through confusion and creates clarity of action. When I interviewed Andrew Carnegie about his rise from a poor immigrant to America's wealthiest man, he shared something that forever changed my understanding of decision's role in overcoming challenges. He said, "Napoleon, I have observed that successful men reach decisions promptly and change them slowly, if at all. Unsuccessful men reach decisions slowly and change them frequently and quickly." This wasn't just business wisdom, it was a fundamental principle of mental operation. Carnegie had discovered that the ability to make prompt, definite decisions is what separates leaders from followers, masters from servants, and achievers from dreamers. Let me share with you one of the most powerful examples of decisive action I witnessed during my research. When Henry Ford decided to pay his workers $5 per day, double the prevailing wage at the time, his advisors and stockholders were horrified. They argued that this decision would bankrupt the company. But Ford had made a prompt, definite decision based on sound reasoning, and he refused to be swayed by criticism or temporary opposition. Ford's decision was based on three clear principles. Ford's decision was based on three clear principles. Ford's decision was based on three clear principles. First, he had decided that well-paid workers would be more productive and loyal. Ford understood that decision-making requires looking beyond immediate costs to long-term benefits. Second, he had decided that well-paid workers would become customers for his automobiles. Ford's decision was based on the understanding that business success comes from creating mutual benefit, not from exploiting others. Third, he had decided that this policy would attract the best workers in the industry. Ford's decision was strategically designed to give him a competitive advantage in human resources. The result vindicated Ford's decision completely. Productivity increased dramatically. Employee turnover virtually disappeared, and Ford attracted the most skilled workers in the industry. More importantly, Ford's decision created a model for enlightened business leadership that influenced industry practices for generations. Ford's decision-making process revealed the anatomy of successful decision-making. He gathered the facts necessary to make an informed decision. Ford didn't decide impulsively. He based his decision on careful analysis of worker productivity, company profitability, and market conditions. He considered the decision from multiple perspectives. Ford examined how his decision would affect workers, customers, stockholders, and competitors. This comprehensive analysis gave him confidence in his choice. He made his decision promptly once he had sufficient information. Ford didn't delay unnecessarily or seek endless additional opinions. He made his decision and moved to implementation. He stood firm in his decision despite opposition. Ford didn't waver when critics attacked his choice. He understood that leadership requires the courage to maintain unpopular decisions when they're based on sound reasoning. He measured the results of his decision and used them to inform future choices. Ford didn't just make decisions, he learned from them, creating a continuous cycle of improved decision-making. Thomas Edison demonstrated this same principle when he decided to abandon his work on direct current electrical systems and focus entirely on alternating current. This decision required him to essentially start over on years of development work, but Edison made the decision promptly when he recognized that AC power was superior for long-distance transmission. Edison's decision-making process revealed crucial insights about decisive action. He recognized that holding on to inferior solutions prevents discovery of superior ones. Edison understood that indecision about abandoning good ideas often prevents us from discovering great ones. He made his decision based on technical merit rather than emotional attachment. Edison didn't let his previous investment in DC systems prevent him from making the decision that best served his ultimate objective. He communicated his decision clearly to everyone involved. Edison didn't leave his team guessing about his intentions. Clear communication of decisions eliminates confusion and aligns everyone's efforts. He allocated his resources immediately to support his decision. Edison didn't just decide, he acted. He redirected his laboratory, his personnel, and his financial resources to support his decision. Andrew Carnegie demonstrated this principle when he decided to focus entirely on steel production and sell his other business interests. Carnegie owned profitable companies in multiple industries, but he made the decisive choice to concentrate all his resources on steel. Carnegie's decision-making revealed the power of focused commitment. He recognized that divided attention produces mediocre results. Carnegie understood that trying to excel in multiple areas simultaneously often leads to mediocrity in all areas. He made his decision based on where he could create the greatest value. Carnegie didn't just consider profitability, he considered where his unique talents could produce the most significant impact. He executed his decision systematically and completely. Carnegie didn't make partial decisions, he committed fully to his chosen path. He used his decision as a filter for all future opportunities. Once Carnegie decided to focus on steel, he automatically rejected opportunities that didn't align with this decision, maintaining clarity of purpose. When I faced the challenge of organizing my research into a coherent philosophy, I had to make a crucial decision about my approach. I could attempt to cover every aspect of success in general terms, or I could focus specifically on the principles that appeared most consistently in my interviews. My decision-making process revealed the importance of definite choice. I decided to focus on the principles that appeared in every successful person I interviewed. This decision eliminated interesting but non-essential information and created a focused, powerful philosophy. I decided to present these principles in practical, actionable terms. Rather than abstract theory, I chose to provide specific methods that readers could immediately apply. I decided to base my presentation on real examples from my interviews. Instead of hypothetical illustrations, I chose to use actual stories from the most successful people of our time. I decided to write for the serious student of success. Rather than trying to entertain casual readers, I chose to provide substantial value to individuals genuinely committed to improvement. Here's how to apply decisive decision-making to overcome your challenges. First, gather the facts necessary to make an informed decision. Don't decide impulsively, but don't delay unnecessarily. Collect enough information to make a sound choice, then make it. Second, consider your decision from multiple perspectives. How will your decision affect you, your goals, and everyone else involved? This comprehensive analysis builds confidence in your choice. Third, make your decision promptly once you have sufficient information. Indecision is itself a decision, usually the wrong one. Prompt decision-making gives you maximum time for implementation. Fourth, stand firm in your decision despite opposition, usually the wrong one. Prompt decision-making gives you maximum time for implementation. Fourth, stand firm in your decision despite opposition. If your decision is based on sound reasoning, don't be swayed by temporary criticism or convenient alternatives. Fifth, communicate your decision clearly to everyone involved. Clear communication eliminates confusion and aligns everyone's efforts toward common objectives. Sixth, allocate your resources immediately to support your decision. Don't just decide, act. Redirect your time, energy, and resources to support your decision. Seventh, measure the results of your decision and use them to inform future choices. Learn from every decision, whether successful or not. This creates a continuous cycle of improved decision-making. Remember, the world steps aside for the person who knows where they're going. Your ability to make prompt, definite decisions determines whether you'll be a leader or a follower, a master or a servant. When you develop the habit of decisive action, you transform every challenge into an opportunity for demonstrating leadership. Principle 8. Persistence, the mental battery that powers success through every obstacle. The eighth principle that separated the masters from the masses was their understanding that persistence is the mental battery that powers success through every obstacle, setback, and temporary defeat. When I interviewed Thomas Edison about his development of the incandescent light bulb, he shared something that completely transformed my understanding of persistence. He said, "Napoleon, many people mistake persistence for stubbornness. Stubbornness is continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results. Persistence is continuing to seek solutions until you find the one that works. This distinction is crucial." Edison had discovered that true persistence is not blind repetition. It's intelligent adaptation combined with unwavering commitment to the ultimate objective. Let me share with you the exact story of how Edison's persistence overcame what appeared to be an insurmountable challenge. When Edison set out to create a practical incandescent light bulb, he faced a problem that had defeated every previous inventor, finding a filament material that would burn brightly without burning out quickly. Edison's persistence manifested in 4 distinct ways. First, he maintained unwavering faith in the possibility of success. Edison didn't just hope his experiments would work. He knew they would eventually work. This mental attitude sustained him through thousands of failures. Second, he approached each failure as a learning opportunity, rather than a defeat. Edison didn't just try things randomly. He systematically eliminated approaches that didn't work, bringing him closer to the approach that would work. Third, he continuously modified his approach based on what he learned. Edison's persistence wasn't stubborn repetition, it was intelligent adaptation. He used each failure to refine his next attempt. Fourth, he maintained his efforts despite criticism and discouragement from others. Edison's persistence was independent of external approval or support. He continued his work because he was committed to his objective, not because others believed in it. The result was one of the most important inventions in human history. But here's the crucial point. Edison's success wasn't just due to his intelligence or resources, it was due to his persistence in the face of repeated failure. Henry Ford demonstrated this same principle when he faced the challenge of creating an automobile that ordinary families could afford. Ford's first 2 automobile companies failed completely. His third company, the Ford Motor Company, struggled for years before achieving success. Ford's persistence revealed the true nature of this principle. He learned from each failure and applied those lessons to his next attempt. Ford didn't just repeat the same mistakes. He systematically eliminated approaches that didn't work. He maintained his commitment to his ultimate objective despite temporary setbacks. Ford didn't let business failures discourage him from pursuing his vision of affordable transportation. He adapted his methods while maintaining his fundamental purpose. Ford changed his approach repeatedly, but he never abandoned his commitment to creating automobiles for the masses. He used criticism and opposition as fuel for his persistence. When experts told Ford that ordinary people would never buy automobiles, he used their skepticism to strengthen his resolve. Andrew Carnegie demonstrated this principle when he built his steel empire during some of the most challenging economic periods in American history. Carnegie faced financial panics, labor strikes, technological disruptions, and intense competition. Yet he persisted through every challenge. Carnegie's persistence revealed 4 essential elements. He maintained a clear vision of his ultimate objective. Carnegie's persistence wasn't random, it was directed toward specific, measurable goals. He prepared mentally for obstacles before they arose. Carnegie didn't hope for smooth sailing. He expected challenges and prepared mentally to overcome them. He used setbacks as opportunities to strengthen his position. Carnegie didn't just survive difficult periods. He used them to gain competitive advantages. He surrounded himself with others who shared his commitment to persistence. Carnegie understood that persistence is contagious. He chose associates who would support his commitment rather than undermine it. When I faced the challenge of completing my 20-year research project, I encountered obstacles that tested my persistence repeatedly. Financial difficulties, personal setbacks, and professional criticisms all threatened to derail my efforts. My persistence was sustained by 4 principles. I maintained unwavering faith in the value of my research. Despite temporary setbacks, I knew that the knowledge I was gathering would eventually help millions of people. I used each obstacle as an opportunity to strengthen my commitment. Rather than being discouraged by difficulties, I used them to prove to myself how much I believed in my work. I continuously adapted my methods while maintaining my ultimate objective. I changed my approach repeatedly, but I never abandoned my commitment to completing the research. I drew inspiration from the persistence of the successful individuals I was studying. Their examples of persistence in the face of adversity gave me strength to continue my own efforts. Here's how to apply persistence to overcome your challenges. First, develop absolute clarity about your ultimate objective. Persistence without clear direction is merely stubbornness. You must know exactly what you're persisting toward. Second, prepare mentally for obstacles before they arise. Don't hope for smooth sailing. Expect challenges and prepare mentally to overcome them. This mental preparation prevents discouragement when obstacles appear. Third, use each setback as a learning opportunity. Don't just repeat the same approaches. Use failures to refine your methods and improve your results. Fourth, maintain your persistence independent of external support. Don't let criticism or lack of encouragement weaken your commitment. True persistence comes from internal conviction, not external validation. Fifth, surround yourself with others who understand and support persistence. Persistence is contagious. Choose associates who will strengthen your commitment rather than undermine it. Sixth, measure your progress regularly to maintain motivation. Persistence is easier when you can see evidence of advancement toward your objective. Seventh, use criticism and opposition as fuel for your persistence. Instead of being discouraged by skeptics, use their doubt to strengthen your resolve. Remember, every great achievement required persistence to overcome the obstacles that stood between conception and completion. Your persistence is the mental battery that powers your success through every challenge. When you develop the habit of intelligent persistence, you transform every obstacle into a stepping stone toward your ultimate objective. Principle 9. The power of the mastermind. Exponential thinking through harmonious cooperation. The ninth principle that every master of success understood was that the power of the mastermind creates exponential results through harmonious cooperation of multiple minds working toward a common definite purpose. When I interviewed Andrew Carnegie about the secret of his unprecedented success, he shared something that revolutionized my understanding of human achievement. He said, "Napoleon, no individual mind has ever accomplished anything of major importance without the friendly cooperation of other minds. The mastermind is not just teamwork. It's the harmonious cooperation of minds that creates a form of collective intelligence far superior to any individual mind." This wasn't just business philosophy, it was a fundamental principle of mental operation. Carnegie had discovered that when minds unite in harmony, they create a third mind, a mastermind that possesses capabilities far exceeding the sum of its parts. Let me share with you the exact Mastermind Alliance that Carnegie created to build his steel empire. Carnegie surrounded himself with approximately 50 men whose specialized knowledge complemented his own vision and leadership abilities. Carnegie's Mastermind Alliance included Charles Schwab for general management and leadership. Schwab possessed the ability to inspire and coordinate the efforts of thousands of workers. Henry Clay Frick for financial management and strategic planning. Frick understood the financial complexities of large-scale industrial operations. Alexander Hawley for technological innovation and engineering. Hawley brought specialized knowledge of steel production processes and equipment. Captain Bill Jones for operational efficiency and quality control. Jones understood the practical aspects of steel manufacturing and worker management. Principle 10. The subconscious mind, the mental broadcasting station that transforms thoughts into reality. The 10th and final principle that every master of success understood was the power of the subconscious mind as the mental broadcasting station that transforms thoughts into physical reality. When I interviewed the great industrial leaders of our time, I noticed something remarkable that appeared in every interview. These men had learned to influence their subconscious minds so completely that their thoughts automatically organized themselves into plans. Their plans automatically attracted the resources needed for implementation, and their desires automatically transformed themselves into their physical equivalent. Andrew Carnegie explained this principle to me in terms that forever changed my understanding of mental power. He said, "Napoleon, your subconscious mind is like a fertile garden that will grow whatever seeds you plant in it. Most people plant seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation, then wonder why their lives produce crops of failure and frustration. But when you learn to plant seeds of faith, success, and achievement, your subconscious mind will automatically produce the conditions necessary for your success." This wasn't mystical thinking, it was practical psychology. Carnegie had discovered that the subconscious mind, when properly directed, becomes an automatic success mechanism that works continuously to transform thoughts into reality. Let me share with you the exact process Carnegie used to program his subconscious mind for success. Every morning upon waking and every evening before sleep, Carnegie would repeat his definite chief aim with complete emotional conviction. Carnegie's subconscious programming process included: first, he would state his definite chief aim in clear, specific terms. Carnegie didn't use vague language. He programmed his subconscious mind with precise instructions. Second, he would visualize his definite chief aim as already achieved. Carnegie didn't just think about his goals, he experienced them emotionally as if they were already reality. Third, he would feel the emotions associated with the achievement of his aim. Carnegie understood that the subconscious mind responds to emotion more than to logic. He felt the satisfaction, pride, and fulfillment of his success. Fourth, he would maintain this mental state until his subconscious mind accepted his aim as reality. Carnegie continued this process until his subconscious mind automatically worked toward his objective. Fifth, he would act on the ideas and opportunities that came to him. Carnegie understood that the subconscious mind communicates through intuition, hunches, and inspired ideas. He acted on these promptings immediately. The result was that Carnegie's subconscious mind became his most powerful ally in achieving success. It automatically attracted opportunities, inspired solutions to problems, and guided him toward the people and resources he needed. When Thomas Edison demonstrated this same principle when he used his subconscious mind to solve technical problems that conscious analysis couldn't resolve. Edison had developed a technique he called genius sessions, where he would relax his conscious mind and allow his subconscious mind to work on difficult problems. Edison's subconscious programming technique included: he would clearly define the problem he wanted to solve. Edison gave his subconscious mind specific instructions about what he wanted to accomplish. He would review all available information about the problem. Edison fed his subconscious mind all the facts and data related to the challenge. He would relax his conscious mind and enter a state of receptive meditation. Edison would sit in a comfortable chair, hold steel balls in his hands, and allow his mind to drift into a drowsy state. He would maintain this state until solutions began to emerge. Edison would remain in this relaxed state until his subconscious mind began producing ideas and insights. He would immediately capture and test the ideas that came to him. Edison understood that subconscious insights are often fleeting, so he recorded them immediately and tested them promptly. Edison's subconscious programming produced some of history's greatest innovations. The incandescent light bulb solution came to Edison during one of these sessions. After months of conscious analysis had failed to find the right filament material, Edison's subconscious mind produced the insight that led to success. The phonograph concept emerged from Edison's subconscious. The idea of recording and playing back sound came to Edison not through logical analysis, but through subconscious inspiration. Many of Edison's 1,000-plus patents originated in his subconscious mind. Edison understood that his greatest innovations came not from conscious effort alone, but from the harmonious cooperation of his conscious and subconscious minds. Henry Ford applied this principle when he programmed his subconscious mind with his vision of affordable automobiles for every American family. Ford understood that his conscious mind alone couldn't solve all the problems involved in mass production, but his subconscious mind could guide him toward solutions. Ford's subconscious programming process included: He constantly visualized his vision of affordable automobiles. Ford didn't just think about his goal occasionally. He maintained constant mental pictures of his desired outcome. He emotionally experienced the satisfaction of achieving his vision. Ford felt the emotions associated with success, the pride of serving millions of families, the satisfaction of creating jobs, the fulfillment of transforming transportation. He remained alert to ideas and opportunities that aligned with his vision. Ford understood that his subconscious mind would guide him toward the resources and knowledge he needed. He acted immediately on the insights that came to him. Ford didn't hesitate. When his subconscious mind produced ideas, he tested them immediately. Ford's subconscious programming produced revolutionary innovations. The moving assembly line concept came to Ford through subconscious inspiration. The idea of moving the work to the worker rather than the worker to the work emerged from Ford's programmed subconscious mind. The $5 workday decision was guided by subconscious insight. Ford's conscious mind told him this was financially risky, but his subconscious mind guided him toward this decision that ultimately strengthened his company. The Model T design reflected Ford's subconscious understanding of mass market needs. Ford's subconscious mind guided him to create exactly the automobile that ordinary families wanted and could afford. When I programmed my subconscious mind to complete my 20-year research project, I used the same principles that had worked for these great achievers. My subconscious programming process included: I constantly visualized the completion of my research in practical form. I saw my findings organized into books, courses, and speeches that would help millions of people. I emotionally experienced the satisfaction of helping others achieve success. I felt the fulfillment of transforming my research into practical knowledge that would change lives. I remained alert to connections and insights that would help organize my material. My subconscious mind guided me toward the organizing principles that made my research coherent and useful. I acted immediately on the inspirations that came to me. When my subconscious mind produced insights about organizing or presenting my material, I implemented them immediately. Here's how to program your subconscious mind to overcome challenges. First, clearly define your definite chief aim in specific, measurable terms. Your subconscious mind cannot work with vague instructions. Be precise about what you want to achieve. Second, create vivid mental pictures of your aim as already achieved. Don't just think about your goal, visualize it with complete sensory detail. See it, hear it, feel it as if it were already reality. Third, associate strong, positive emotions with your mental pictures. Feel the satisfaction, pride, and fulfillment of achieving your aim. Emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. Fourth, repeat this process consistently until your subconscious mind accepts your aim as reality. Program your subconscious mind every morning upon waking and every evening before sleep. Consistency is essential. Fifth, remain alert to ideas, opportunities, and insights that come to you. Your subconscious mind will communicate through hunches, intuitions, and inspired ideas. Pay attention to these promptings. Sixth, act immediately on the guidance you receive. Don't hesitate when your subconscious mind produces insights. Test them immediately and learn from the results. Seventh, maintain faith in your subconscious mind's ability to guide you toward success. Trust the process even when you don't understand how it works. Your subconscious mind has capabilities that exceed your conscious understanding. Remember, your subconscious mind is your most powerful ally in achieving success, but it will work just as hard to produce failure if you program it with negative thoughts and emotions. When you learn to program your subconscious mind with clear, positive instructions backed by strong emotion, you transform every challenge into an opportunity for your subconscious mind to demonstrate its power. Call to action, the moment of decision that transforms possibility into reality. My friend, we have reached the moment that separates the dreamers from the achievers, the wishers from the doers, the followers from the leaders. Everything I have shared with you today, every principle, every example, every insight means nothing without the one element that transforms knowledge into power: decisive action. Andrew Carnegie, my great mentor, once told me something that echoes through every success story I have witnessed. Napoleon, the world is full of people who know what they should do. The world is desperately short of people who actually do what they know they should do. Carnegie understood that knowledge without action is not just useless, it becomes a burden that weighs down the mind with unfulfilled potential. Let me recap the transformative power of the principles we've explored together. Your definite chief aim gives you the mental compass that automatically transforms every challenge into a stepping stone toward your ultimate objective. When you have a burning desire crystallized into a specific goal, your mind automatically rejects thoughts and circumstances that don't align with your purpose. Your Mastermind Alliance multiplies your mental power exponentially by coordinating specialized knowledge toward your common objective. When you surround yourself with minds that complement your own, you create collective intelligence that can solve problems no individual mind could handle. Applied faith transforms your definite chief aim from a possibility into an inevitability. When you act as if your success is certain, you set in motion forces that align circumstances with your vision. Specialized knowledge provides the mental ammunition for victory over any challenge. When you know exactly what knowledge you need and how to acquire it, you transform every obstacle into a learning opportunity. Imagination serves as the mental workshop where impossibilities become possibilities. When you learn to use your imagination as a precise tool for problem solving, you create solutions that didn't exist before. Organized planning bridges the gap between mental conception and physical achievement. When you transform your ideas into systematic plans of action, you make success a matter of methodical implementation. Decision cuts through confusion and creates clarity of action. When you develop the habit of prompt, definite decision-making, you transform every choice into an opportunity for leadership. Persistence powers you through every obstacle and temporary defeat. When you combine intelligent adaptation with unwavering commitment, you make success inevitable. The mastermind creates exponential results through harmonious cooperation. When you coordinate multiple minds toward a common purpose, you create collective intelligence that can achieve the impossible. The subconscious mind transforms your thoughts into physical reality. When you program your subconscious mind with clear, positive instructions backed by strong emotion, you create an automatic success mechanism. But here's the crucial truth that determines whether these principles transform your life or remain mere intellectual concepts. The time for implementation is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances are more favorable. And now, the urgency of immediate action is not arbitrary, it's based on a fundamental principle of human psychology. The longer you delay taking action on a decision, the weaker that decision becomes. Every moment you wait, doubt and procrastination gain strength in your mind. Every hour you postpone, your initial enthusiasm diminishes. Every day you delay, your current circumstances become more comfortable and change becomes more difficult. I challenge you to make this moment the turning point in your life. Right now, as you listen to these words, you have a choice that will determine whether you continue living as you have been living or whether you step into the person you're capable of becoming. Here's what I want you to do immediately. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Mastermind Journeys by clicking that subscribe button right now. Don't wait until you finish listening. Don't tell yourself you'll do it later. Do it now while your mind is filled with the possibility of transformation. This subscription isn't just about accessing more content. It's about making a commitment to your own development. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an insight that could change your life. The difference between success and failure is often found in a single idea, a single principle, a single moment of inspiration. When you activate notifications, you ensure that you're present for every breakthrough moment we share together. But most importantly, I want you to answer this question, and I want you to answer it in the comments below. What is the one limiting belief that currently holds you back from achieving your definite chief aim, and what specific action will you take in the next 24 hours to begin dismantling that belief? This isn't a casual question that you can answer with a simple yes or no. This question requires you to dig deep into your consciousness and identify the specific mental obstacle that stands between you and your success. It requires you to be honest about what's really holding you back, and it requires you to commit to specific action within the next 24 hours. Don't just listen to this question, answer it in the comments. When you write your answer publicly, you transform a private thought into a public commitment. You activate the power of accountability that will help you follow through on your decision. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. You know someone in your life who is struggling with challenges, who has dreams they haven't pursued, who has potential they haven't developed. Share this message with them. When you help others access these principles, you reinforce your own commitment to applying them. But here's the final challenge, the one that separates the masters from the masses. Will you choose the path of mediocrity or the path of mastery? Will you settle for the comfortable familiarity of your current limitations, or will you embrace the challenging excitement of unlimited potential? The choice is yours, but the choice must be made now. Every moment you delay is a moment stolen from your future success. Every hour you postpone is an hour that could have been spent building the life you truly want. Every day you wait is a day closer to the regret of unfulfilled potential. The masters I studied, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, and hundreds of others, all faced this same moment of decision. They all had the choice between comfortable mediocrity and challenging excellence. They all had the opportunity to make excuses or make progress. They all had the chance to follow the crowd or lead the parade. What separated them from the masses was not superior intelligence, better circumstances, or special advantages. What separated them was their willingness to act on their knowledge immediately and decisively. The same opportunity stands before you right now. The knowledge you've gained today can transform your life, but only if you act on it. The principles you've learned can overcome any challenge, but only if you apply them. The potential you've discovered can become reality, but only if you choose to make it real. As I conclude this journey with you today, I leave you with the words that have guided my own life and the lives of millions of others. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The question is not whether you can overcome your challenges. The question is whether you will. The answer to that question will be determined by what you do in the next 24 hours. The moment of decision is now. The power is in your hands. The future is waiting for your answer. What will it be?